Well, good morning in Vegas. I'm outside having my cigarette break, enjoying the morning air before the sun attacks you. And this video is going to be, I don't know, inspiration today. And hopefully it'll encourage you. Some people ask, well, how do you stay so positive after all the things that you've been through, and you still have a smile on your face? And it's like, well, first of all, it's not a fake smile, because if I'm unhappy, I'm unhappy, and I'm going to allow my emotions to go ahead and have its place, and then adjust it accordingly. I think that all human beings go through grieving points. When you lose something, I don't think that that's the time for you to pretend that you're not feeling something. I think if you're a real life human being, I think that it's okay for you to feel, because a human being feels. A robot don't feel. An artificial intelligent program robot cannot feel nothing, but a real live human being feels. That's what makes you different from a robot. You are a real live human being with your own thought patterns, with your own emotions. And I think that's what sets us aside from dogs and animals. I don't think that, even though, yes, a dog goes through its own animal feelings, or if you will, but not at the point of a human being. When you're violating, because I'm going back to the violators. When you're violating me, I have every right to feel and be validated for my feeling, and not for you to try to wash it down as if I am a robot and I'm not feeling a certain way. It's not for you to berate me because I don't like the fact that you violated me. I don't like the fact that you're doing it illegally. That's my feeling right there. I don't like the illegalness of it. I feel as a human being that I am talkative enough to share with you live in person without you secretly videotaping me. I feel that I deserve a platform, that if you like what I share and you like what I have to say, I feel as a real life human being that you should open up a platform where you can hear me share. My inspiration comes from Les Brown. I was going through a divorce, and I came across Les Brown on PBS. And anybody know about Les Brown? He's a motivation speaker. And he encouraged you and he uplift you. And so his speeches, one speech was about, if you can lay down, if you're laying down, but if you can look up, you can get up. And that inspired me big time. That really encouraged my soul big time, because if anybody went through a period of divorce, it's a very depressing thing, because you made a vow to commit to this person forever, for a long time commitment, and all of a sudden your marriage is shattered through infidelity or adultery, whatever the case it may be, it's still a hurtful kind of situation. And I said hurtful because people hurt when you love somebody and you give your all and they commit adultery on you, and you lose that trust, and that betrayal is there. And for you to act as if it doesn't phase you, you're lying to yourself. You're lying to your own soul. And so for you to go through that is a loss. That's a loss. So that means that you have to go through a grieving phase. That you're going to feel hurt, you're going to feel mad, you're going to feel sad, you're going to be depressed, you're going to be angry because this person, you put this trust in these people, in this person, and they betrayed you. And so, I mean, I really went through 2 years of depression. I blew up to 350 pounds. That's how depressed I was. And I heard Les Brown, and I heard him for the first time. Mr. Les Brown, and he was speaking about how they had labeled him in school as to being mental retarded, a mental retarded child. And that inspired me because they labeled me the same way, and inspired me when he said that he was down on his luck, and he had to rent out office space, and he was looking out the window, and he was saying how he changed the name of the game. He still used that as a tool, though, to make himself successful at the end of the day. And his goal was to buy his mother a house, and he even tells the story of how he bought the house, but it was a bad deal, and he felt disappointed because that was his goal, was to put his mama in a nice house. And so those type of people inspire me. And then like real life people that came across my path and gave me those words of encouragement, that inspires me. That keeps me going. It keep me going. Okay. Nobody needs anybody to discourage them. It's like there's a difference between negative. Anybody that discourage you in life, they're not for you. They so much against you. They so much against your plans, your goals. You get pumped up about having your own business, and here come the spirit of discouragement. Here come the negative energy of discouragement. Yeah, but it's always going to be a but in there. Trust and believe that. They are always going to have that but. That sounds like a good business, but the competition is really high in that area, and there's a possibility for you to be successful or not be successful in that area. And it's like those are the people that really don't believe that you have the power and ability to have your own business, because they don't believe in themselves that they're capable of having their own business. Some of them been wanting for years to have their own business, but they have been afraid to step out by faith and just do it. If you fail, you fail, but there's learning in failing. There's learning for you to fail at something. There's learning in failure, because when you fail at something, you learn to do it the correct way. When you fail at something, you see your mistakes, and then you learn to become better. You make a choice decision where I see exactly where I fail at, or where I didn't put enough effort, I didn't put enough energy into it, or I didn't really take my business serious. I wanted to have a business, but at the end of the day, I didn't put my all in all into my business, so therefore I fell at it. So when you make an attempt to do it again, you know exactly where you messed up at. Those are failure people. People say, may call you a failure. They may say, "Oh, you're a failure. You're a failure in life. You're a failure at everything that you do. You're a failure at everything that you put your mind to do." And that's not hey, how are you doing? Fine. In a positive way, the failure can be a blessing to you, if you will. Failure can be uplifting. To fail at something means that you just do it better, if that. Some have told you that you're a failure because you dropped out of school. You're a failure because you dropped out of college. You're a failure in your marriage. You're just a failure all the way around. But at the end of the day, you also learned a lesson in that area. You also learned something good about yourself in the midst of failure. And some people are afraid of rejection, but rejection is a blessing to you if you see it. It's like a blessing in disguise, if you will, is that when you're rejected, sometimes it may be the universe keeping you from dangerous people. Sometimes it may be the universe keeping you from people that don't mean you no good. if you're being rejected and spitted out per se by certain people, that's because they was never meant to be in your life. They was never meant to be in your perimeter. They was never meant to be a part of the divine plan that God has for your life. They was never meant to be in God's will for your life. So instead of you taking it as a hardship and taking it too personal, you need to be praising God for rejection. When you begin to flip it and turn it around for the good and the positive, you will begin to see that these people showed you their true color. And what is that? If someone show you their true color, believe them. Trust me, when people begin to show their true color, honey, believe that that's who they really are at the end of the day. So being rejected by society or being rejected by certain groups in society is a blessing to you, and you have to see it as a blessing and not as a curse to you. Okay? Because how many people is missing out on the beautiful person that you are? Okay? You have a beautiful spirit. You inspire people. You uplift people. You encourage people. So they're missing out. They're missing out. You're not missing out. They are missing out. Okay? And how do you get your inspiration? Where do you get your inspiration from? Well, we can't give nobody else credit but God Almighty. And that word, when you begin to read the word of God, and you could be on your lowest of the low, and when you begin to read the word of God, and you probably have read it before, but for some reason, at that particular time, that particular season, it stands out. It stands out. The same Bible verse that you read last night, you read it again the next day, but it made an impact. It makes a difference in your life. So the first inspiration is God and His Word. His Word is just filled with nothing but encouraging, uplifting word. That's where you get it from. If you're looking for a man to give you a pat on the back, you may be waiting a cold day in hell. You may be waiting a long time. That's another angle. I'm outside. That's another angle of encouragement when you're a person traveling life all by yourself, because sometimes God have set you aside to travel by yourself, because it's amazing how you could get distracted when you got too many people around you. You got too many people trying to dictate and talk to you. The only person that you should be hearing is God's word. Really serious. And when you begin to cut out and eliminate some of that group of people, you begin to hear God more clearer. So sometimes there's another thing, is where God isolates you, when God sets you aside, and through the Spirit of God just wants you to spend time with Him. God just wants you to be His person for the day. And when God isolates you, that means that's a special moment and a special time that you spend with God, and that means that you're drawing closer to God, and God is drawing closer to you. The more time that you spend with God and less time with people, the more closer God draws to you, and you begin to feel His presence around you. You begin to feel His presence. You become His close friend, and He becomes your close friend with God. That part, when you begin to rinse and wash away all the negative, toxic people in your life that's not encouraging you, they're not uplifting you, they're not trying to see you do better, they're not trying to see you reach higher. I mean, anybody that see you driving towards a cliff and they don't scream out loud, they just sit back and just watch you just drive on. They don't have your best interest and your best welfare at hand. Someone that's seeing you do drugs and seeing you kill yourself dang there, and see you self-sabotage, and they call themselves your friend. Then really, are you a friend? And you sitting up here letting me waste away, and you're not saying anything to encourage me to maybe take steps towards AAA, maybe take steps towards rehabilitation. Because if you got yourself on drugs, it's up to you to get yourself off drugs. Nobody made that choice and decision but you. So you got to make the choice and decision to get yourself off the drugs, get yourself out of the adultery relationship. You love your wife, but at the end of the day, now your emotion is tied up into another person. You put yourself, you made a choice and decision to commit adultery. Now you make the choice and decision to get yourself out of that tangle, that triangle tangle that you have, because it's nothing but a messy and sloppy situation and in emotional entanglement. But you're loving your spouse, you love your wife, you love your husband, but I also got feelings for this person too. How do you release yourself from that? You got yourself in that because the Bible says, do not defile the marriage bed. I mean, if we really want to get literally in the Bible principles. Because I know that it feels good when you could just do whatever you want and there's no self-control and there's no self-restraint. You just out there doing whatever you want, committing adultery. You don't care in that moment of time if you're hurting your husband, if you're hurting your wife, if you're hurting your children, if you're destroying and sabotaging your own marriage. And this is another thing. Sometimes that we can be so afraid of success that we begin to sabotage our life. We become afraid of success. Some people become afraid of failure. There's also a thing where you become afraid of success and you begin to self-sabotage things. Okay, that's another thing. And some of it just comes from the inside of me, and it comes through life journey, and it comes through life experience in my own personal world, in my own personal life. Some people got their own inspiration and their own success, and it's like, what do you measure success as? Because for me, my success may be to be left alone and to live a very simple life. My success may not be glam and fame and luxury and all the big cars and the big house. I might be content with just a nice little tiny house and kerosene and living off the grid. That may be my measurement of success. It may not be your measurement of success. Success is defined by an individual of the goals that they desire to reach, not the goals of other people. It's what do you desire? What do you want? That's what I consider as success. Some people like the glam. Some people like the glitz and glitter and all the attention. I don't like the invasion of my privacy. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I don't like too many people around me. I never have, and it's not going to change because that's a part of me. I don't like a lot of people around me. I don't like a lot of people in my private affairs. I don't like it, and I have every right to say that because I'm a real live grown-ass human being. I don't like it. You don't like it. You wouldn't like it. You don't like it, and stop acting like that you are an inhuman kind of person. If this stuff was done to you and your family, you know that you will be upset too. If somebody violates you and not respecting you as a person, not respecting you as a real life human being, you know what that is in counseling? That is toxic people trying to force themselves in your life. Anybody that took any measurement of counseling, we learn about toxic people. Anybody that took any measurement of anger management, they teach you about toxic people. Anyone that took any kind of counseling whatsoever and therapy and counseling therapy, you learn about toxic, negative people. You learn about how they love to trigger you. This is anger management. You learn about your trigger points. And toxic people will always try to trigger you just to produce out that anger. You understand? Does that make sense to you? Because I didn't learn all of this stuff by myself. I read books and I go through classes. I went through classes really at the end of the day because my mind was so messed up in my divorce and my childhood life of abuse, physical, sexual abuse, mental, emotional abuse. I was a messed up totally. They called me crazy then. I think I was crazy back then, really, seriously, because I was a messed up basket case in my mind, really, at the end of the day, and forever having someone dictate to you and tell you what to do and sit up there and making choices and decisions about your family without including your damn family. You're talking about a level of disrespectfulness. You're talking about a level of disrespecting another grown-ass human being. How lowest can you get in life when you cannot respect the boundaries of another human being? That is the lowest of the low of human rights. That's the lowest of the lowest. Everybody have a right to be respected. Everybody have a right to their privacy. And for you to outright violate another grown person's human rights, you are the lowest of the low. It's almost like you are a grown-ass adult that never learned boundaries. And anybody that's been through counseling, what do they teach you? What do they teach you? Boundaries. Do they not teach us that? Do they not teach people boundaries? When you're having so much conflict in the family, 9 times out of 10, it's a communication and boundary level. Do they not teach you that? Even kids in school, they don't have a boundary when it comes to other children. So they grow up and they become adults and they don't respect other adults' boundaries. Okay? Hi. I'm doing my videos here. So it's like, even with that, boundaries is so important. It really is. It's saying that you are respectful and you are a decent person, that you have opened up yourself to respect another person's boundaries, and you're validating that person as a human being. The only person that will sit up there and cross over boundary is someone that don't value other human beings, that don't value and validate other human beings as to having boundaries. This is your boundaries. I respect your privacy. That's boundaries. I respect your privacy, and I may not can relate to you 100%, but if I put myself in a human formation and I put myself in your human shoes, I can sense, I can feel the hurt. I can sense the hurt from you, that your boundaries have been crossed, have been violated. The level of boundaries have been violated. That's almost like your developing daughter, have a right to her privacy. When daddy comes into the room and begin to touch on her, he have crossed over boundaries. Do you get that? But a daddy that don't care about the boundaries of his daughter, he will force himself on her and continue to force himself on her. The same way with people that is doing cyberspace stalking and harassment. You're not respecting other people's right to privacy and boundaries. So therefore you are forcing yourself upon a person. They're not inviting you freely. They have not invited you freely. What part of that you're not understanding or you refuse to accept is something about people that don't like boundaries, and they refuse to accept the truth. They refuse to acknowledge other people's line of boundaries. And if you've been in therapy and you've been in counseling, you should know that. You will learn that. Boundary crossing, that's where people can become abusive. They become abusive and they don't care about the boundaries of other people. All they care about is their own gratification. All they care about is themselves. That's a narcissistic personality disorder. Because it's all about them. It's all about them. Everybody is the blame. The daddy blamed the daughter because he crossed the boundary and went into her room and started sexually abusing his own child. Now the daughter she's the victim. She was the victim, but now she's the reason why daddy came into the room now. Because daddy don't want to face the fact that you crossed that boundary line. And not only boundaries, you betrayed your daughter. You're like an authority figure. You're like a god. You was a god to her in her eyes. And now you have crushed her. You have crumbled that. Now the trust and the betrayer trade. You betrayed her trust for you, daddy. Those are the boundaries that I'm saying, and it doesn't have to be the biological daddy. Any type of daddy figure. You came in my life, you married my mother, and you're sitting up here having sex with me. We're talking about real life experience that teaches us and have trained us and have skilled us too as well. Real life experience. I think I was talking to a therapist, and the therapist was like, "Crystal, really? You got all the answers all inside of you?" I said, "I do." "Yeah. You sitting up here, you're telling me the answers. You're solving your own problem. You're solving your own problems." And it's something about when you talk out loud. I know that other people may think that you're crazy, but it's something that I've learned along the way to get shit out of your system of what you really feel. Because you know what happens when it festers inside, it builds up. It does. It builds up. We learned this in anger management class. When you're so passive, you could be a passive person. And you can be hurt by how people is disrespecting you, crossing boundaries, violating your damn rights. And that anger is starting to fester. Anger. And see, anger it can be mass. It can be mass and it can be hidden. But it's building up. And one thing that we learn from anger, it turns to wrath. And from wrath, from anger, it gets into rage. Now you're no longer angry. Now you're fucking filled with rage. Now you're ready to commit any kind of violent act, because for some reason, I'm telling you, I have expressed to you in my best ability, in my best human ability, that what you're doing to me is hurting me. What you have done to me have hurt me, and you come across with a nonchalant attitude. Now it have went and fester from anger to rage now. And when you get in the phase of rage, I guarantee you, in our training, rage turned to violence. Now the person become a violent person because the person feel you have not heard me. I got louder and louder, and you still have not heard me. That you have not cared about the hurt that you have caused on me. So now it's getting violent. Now there's guns and knife involved. Now there's blood involved. Now there's cops involved now, because something that could have been solved by respecting people's boundaries and listening to them and hearing what they have to say. Now it got really ugly. That's how some marriages is. Honey, I don't feel that you're hearing me. What you're doing is hurting me. If you're a real life human being, what they're doing is hurting you. And I think Tyler Perry said that some people, if you keep on telling Medea, if you keep on telling a person that what you're doing is hurting me, and that person don't make an effort to change, that person don't make an effort to validate what you are truthfully saying to them, then at the end of the day, that person is only out for their own gratification. And they don't have your best welfare at heart. But if you're telling a person that what you're doing is hurting me, it's hurting me. I'm not some kind of robot. I am being hurt by what you're doing to me. And if that person make any effort to change, then that's a person that have your best welfare at heart. And at least they're making an effort. At least they're hearing you. At least they're validating your feelings. At least they're validating you as a human being. So that's one way that you get your your inspiration and your encouraging words. That when you tell a person that what you're doing is hurting me, and they try to make an effort to change that, then that's a person that do love you, and that's a person that's making an effort to change, or to change their habits, because maybe they don't know that they're hurting you. Maybe they don't know the depth of how they're hurting you. And so maybe if you call them out and you acknowledge it, that's the form of communicating with people, that I'm telling you out of my own mouth that what you're doing have hurt me. It has scarred me. It has injured me. And if they make an effort to make it right by you, then those are people that really have your best interests at heart, and they want to see you do better, and they don't want to hurt you, and they don't want to offend you, and they don't want you to walk around scarred. And I think that's one way that I got inspired, I got encouraged, and you learn to speak out about how you really feel, because when you let your emotions build up, it builds up into a big old ball. It builds up into a volcano ball. And some people go into a blackout stage. That means that they have that means that they got so much is way past anger. Anger is a normal biological feeling. You learn that in psychology. If you took psychology, anger is a normal emotion. It's alarming. It's telling you that something is wrong. Something is wrong. It's like an alarm. Something is wrong. The body is unhappy. You are angry about something. You need to identify the anger. You need to identify, why are you angry? Sorry, white people. I'm sorry if I'm using your same teaching on you. Sorry. Because they teach you this in anger management. They teach you this in domestic violence, the cycle of domestic violence. And they teach the women, the victims, of how to identify. And they also teach men that's really into domestic violence and they're into abusing women, that you must identify your anger, what is triggering you. It can't be her all the time. It has to be something inside of you that you have not dealt with. You're refusing to deal with why you're becoming angry. Is it a childhood memory? Did you get abused by women? What is it that's triggering you? Did you see your father beat on his mother? What is it that triggers you? That's why I really believe that every man that is very abusive, you need to go through domestic violence training in order for you to relate to women that you are abusing. You need to identify that. And then so in your anger management and domestic violence training and courses, that you also learn that when the emotions become abnormal, it's rage now. It's rage. And this is the cycle that some men and some women go through, where now you're past anger, now you're in the rage state, now you're beating on your wife. You're beating on your wife. That's where it goes from anger, rage, into violent. And it's a cycle. It's a circle of domestic violence. It's the circle of abuse. You go from anger, rage, to violent. And it's like a vicious cycle that keep repeating itself, because you know why? You haven't dealt with the first step yet. That's why. And you want to stop it. Some people really don't want to hit on their wife. They don't want to abuse their children. They don't want to abuse the dog. But it's like it's a vicious cycle, and it's a learned pattern. Anybody that took psychology, you learn also about learned patterns, learned behavior patterns. So when you have learned a pattern by seeing your dad beat up on your mother, seeing the men of the family beat up on the women in the household, you have learned a pattern. And for some reason, the household have encouraged you to beat on women. The household have encouraged you to it's okay to abuse, to verbally abuse a woman, to physical abuse a woman, to sexually assault women because they don't have rights. Women are invalid. They are objects. Then this is where men just look at women as an object, not as a real life human being. What part of that you men that are sitting out there violating my rights, what part of that you refuse to accept? What part of that keep you in denial that this woman have a right, not to have her privacy violated? Decent amount of men will acknowledge that. Decent men will acknowledge that she does have a right to her privacy. It's called women's rights. Women do have rights. They have civil rights. They have constitutional rights. They are no longer objects for a man to just see as an object to be used in sexual ways for his own sexual gratification. She is not a statue. She is not some kind of blow-up doll. She is a real live human being. A woman is a real live human being, and she has rights under the Constitution of the United States. She has civil rights. She has human rights. She deserves to be treated like she is a human being, not just some kind of object, not some kind of sex idol or icon. That is a made-up figure of a woman. That's not the real woman. The real woman got emotions. She got real feelings. Yeah, she does. But some people have been trained, and some men have been trained to treat women as a sex object. So we got sexism working up against us. We got male chauvinists working up against us. We got women abusers working up against us. We got sex traffickers working up against us because they only see you as a money-making object. That's it. You're just an object. They're damaging the inside of women. They're damaging the inside of girls. They're damaging her. They either too big and they don't care that the fact that you're hurting her from the inside. You're fucking damaging her damn organs from the inside, and you don't care because you only see your penis as an object to stick in a hole. Tell the truth and shame the devil, and keep everything very real talk. Because how can we change the things in our society if we don't be real core and real raw honest with ourselves and God and everybody else? So I had an ex-boyfriend. He was a recovering addict, because I really don't mess with people on drugs whatsoever. But he was recovering. So I used to go to his classes with him. And he was a boxer, so he was known as a boxer. And so I would go to his classes so that he could stay encouraged. I would be his support there. And one thing that they teach you is the steps. What is the 12 steps? What's the 12 steps? You got to stop being in denial that you are abusive, sexist, male chauvinist man or woman. It doesn't matter. The first step is not just for alcoholism and just for drug. It can be used on any kind of addictive or bad habits that we have. The first thing is that we got to stop staying in denial, because denial is so shameful. It is so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing to know that you are that type of person and you really want to be a better person. Am I not? Tell the truth and shame the devil. It is righteous. Like, God can't even help you if you won't be truthful with God. If you won't be truthful with yourself, how are you going to be truthful with God? God, I got a problem in this area. And it's been following me. It's been hunting me. It's like demons been chasing me down for years. And I don't know how to get rid of it. I don't know how to solve this. I want women in my life, but I keep running them away from me, or I keep abusing them. So how do I develop healthier relationship with other people? How do I develop healthier relationship? First, I got to get myself out of denial. Denial is a cover-up. Denial is a safe zone. It's to keep you safe. It's to keep you from confronting that demon of denial. It's a safe zone. It's to keep you from dealing with that demon that's been chasing you down, and you're not really a happy man. You're not really, and that's why it shows in every relationship that you have went through. You have went through relationship like you turning on a water faucet. You run through women, basically. So how do you overcome that particular demon of denial, that energy, that negative energy of denial? Denial don't like the truth. Denial don't like for you to accept the fact that you're a womanizer, that you're a woman abuser, that you're a male chauvinist, that you're a sexist. And then once you're in the class, sometimes you may need the support of just regular people just like you. Sometimes they're more better than the therapists. They're more better than the psychiatrists, because they come in on a real level with you, and they had the same problem and they overcame their problem. So you got your own peers really encouraging you and helping you to get through it. Your own peers, not somebody that you paying $200 for an hour on their sofa. Yeah, $200 or even more, just for an hour section. Okay, you should be healed within an hour. No, it's not. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. It's a process. It's a process. So the first thing that you have to bring down the demon of denial. It is a demon. It is a demon. It is, if you look at it from a Bible perspective, it is a demonic demon that's keeping you in denial. Right? It keeps us in denial. So basically it keeps you in shackles and chains. It doesn't want to let go of you. But when you accept the fact that, look, I accept that I am this way. Now you're accepting it. Now you have acknowledged it. Now it's out in the public. Now the truth has been revealed. Now you go through the 12 steps now. And it didn't take a psychiatrist to bring it out of you, because a psychiatrist can only go by what you tell them. Really, seriously, you can mess with their mind all damn day long. Look here, you only diagnosing me, or you're only sitting up here going by what I'm telling you, what I'm saying to you, and I could be playing with your mind on a psychological level and testing your mind to see how much of a psychiatrist you really are. I had this white friend. He was a psychiatrist. And he said, you know what? He said, even psychiatrists need somebody to talk to. Isn't that amazing? Even a psychiatrist needs somebody to talk to them. They talk to people every day with problems. Could you imagine the load of shit that they hear? So they themselves need people to talk to. Your counseling therapist needs somebody to talk to, because the load becomes overwhelming for them. So even they need somebody to talk to. That's why I decided to have my phone line open for any kind of conversation, and open where you can express yourself. You can talk to me. You can talk to me. Really, you could talk to me. And be respectful, but you could talk to me. It's like if you don't have nobody else to talk to, you can call my line and just talk, and I'll listen. I don't have to do all the talking. because it's something about getting things out your system. Then you don't have to go into the job site and just shoot up everybody. Because you don't let your anger, you've been so passive and you just sick and tired of taking people's shit. And you just let that anger, that rage go, and you're shooting up schools, you're shooting up people in the mall, instead of getting on the phone and calling somebody and talking to somebody. Even if you have to talk things out to yourself for a moment, even if you have to make videos and talk that shit out, you're getting it out of your system, okay? And a lot of officers have helped me along the way. Trust and believe that, honey. And one officer, they had me believing that I was just that crazy. And I told the officer, I said, I'm crazy anyway. I'm just a crazy woman anyway. He said, well, Miss Lax, if you crazy, I'm crazy too. And when he said that, and he was a white man that said that, a white officer that said that. And when he said that, that also impacted me. It changed my view. Just those little words that he said to me. Because sometimes people can call you something for so long, you begin to believe it. Okay? And then God sends somebody, it doesn't matter what color, God sends somebody to you to say something, maybe 2 or 3 words, and it can have such a powerful impact on your view about yourself. Okay? That he said, well, if you crazy, Miss Lax, I'm crazy too. So I guess we're all crazy, Miss Lax. Because when we look at life, we have a lot of stuff that we're dealing with, and it's even worse now. It's even worse than the past. It's worse, sir. It's worse. It's worse. We're dealing with so many issues. There's so many social issues that we're dealing with, and it becomes so overwhelming and traumatizing. It is. It's traumatizing to know that you have a heart to love all people, and then it's traumatizing to have people to hate you because the color of your skin. And that's being so real, and it's being so honest in life, you know. And that's why I do these videos, because at the end of the day, it's best to get that stuff out of your system of how you really feel about what's going on around you. Because if you're a real life human being, that means that I'm existing on this earth. That's exactly what that means. That means I'm a real life human being that is existing on this earth, and the hate is affecting me. The racism is affecting me. It's not bringing me up to my higher good person. It's not bringing me to the highest level that God wants me to be. And I think that when people when people invalidate you, we learn that in counseling too. When people validate you, they're acknowledging what you're feeling. That's the most precious gift that somebody can give you. No matter how upset you are, that's real feelings. She's feeling it for a reason. She's feeling that way for a reason. And for somebody to validate your feelings, that's the most precious gift that you could give to a person. That's more worthy than money. That's more precious than money, really, truth be told. Because you acknowledge me as a human being and not some robot, not some artificial intelligent person that's been programmed or brainwashed to not feel. That's been programmed and brainwashed to wash it off like it doesn't matter, it doesn't hurt me at all. We've been programmed to be like that. Just act like it doesn't hurt you. Yeah, it does hurt. It does hurt. It's pain. I'm the one that's feeling it in my heart. I'm the one that's feeling like I'm not reaching my full potential, because I have people that's out to hurt me more than anything. Not to make me better. Not to see me on my highest of the highest. That's what it is. That's what it is. And if that's crazy, then I'm just a crazy person then. So be it. So be it that I'm acknowledging myself as a human being and you just don't want to accept it. You just want to be in denial that I am a real live human being. Even as a black woman, I am a real live human being. If I pinch myself, that's going to hurt. If I slap myself in the face, I'm going to feel my own hands slap myself in the face. So that means that I am a real live human being. I'm not some kind of entity. Now, I'm not some kind of building. I am not a statue. I am not an object. I am a real live human being that has the power to think for myself, that has the power to speak for myself, that has the power to make choices and decisions for myself, that has the power to act for myself. So I don't know. People shock me sometimes when they say that you have made an impact on me. I don't see how, but if I do, thank you. Even if it's one person that the words that I'm saying is encouraging and uplifting and to build you up, and when we're at a state where we're thinking more smaller of ourselves, but we're really big giants. We really are. We're big giants. And I don't mean in height and stature. I mean the faith that you have, or the faith that you've had over the years that have gotten you this far in life. You are a giant. You're a small person that took giant steps. You're a small person that took risks. You are the outcast. You're the person that wasn't afraid to step out on the water and walk on top of the water. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. Rather you're a homeless person, rather you're a person that have much, it's like you took giant steps to step out on the water. Okay? So I don't know how a little lady like me can impact someone. My children say that I impact them or I encourage them. That's good to hear. In their good mode when they're not mad at mommy. That's good. Then I'm the worst person on this earth when they mad at you. When your kid's mad at you, you the worst parent on this earth. But and then once they cool off and they think about what you said and they let it marinate in their mind, let it marinate in their soul and their spirit, then they come back. Mom, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. You may not say it the way that they want it to be said, but you're so truthful and you don't want them to, you don't want to sugarcoat nothing for them. You want them to know that I want real reality, real talk to you. Because life is reality, life is real talk. So why would I want to sugarcoat and fabricate things?